Well, we just heard some music performed by Turk van Lake in the Charlie Barnet Orchestra from record dates of 1943 and 1944. And already there's information that I myself am struggling to write down as we're going through. First, from the very first session you made with Charlie Barnet, we heard The Moose, Strollin', and Powwow. This would have been October 21st of 43. Would this be your first studio recording since you had recorded with Teddy Powell?
Yes.
So Turk van Lake, you didn't make any records with the first Georgie Old Band or with Sam Donahue?
No, band didn't record at all.
Mm-hmm.
The Sam Donahue band had just got through recording, to count basically and a couple of things like that, but I was not yet in the band.
All right, and a couple of points that you made while we were playing those three selections was that you feel that Trummy Young is undoubtedly the trombone soloist on Strollin'.
Yes.
And that he's on the record date.
It sounds to me like Trummy, and I don't know anyone who could imitate Trummy.
Right.
In sound. But I can't see his face at the date, but the whole date is a blur, to tell you the truth. But I do remember certain things, and I think I have the 78s at home, and probably with the exact personnel, I'm going to have to check that out. But it sounds to me undoubtedly like Trummy.
And Al Killian took the high note trumpet work.
Right, yes.
Now, were you in the band when either Howard McGee or Oscar Pettifer were still there?
Oh, definitely.
Could you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'd love to talk about it. It was one of the greatest periods in my life, musically and socially. Mm-hmm. It was interesting how Barnett built that band. I was invited to rehearsal by George Saravo, the same alto player, at a studio here in New York called the Haven Studios. It was a very favorite studio for Glenn Miller and Freddie Slack to rehearse in. A second floor type of thing. And I looked at that band while they were rehearsing, and I knew practically, well, Chubby was there. I knew Chubby. I knew the drummer, Lou Fromm. I knew George Saravo, Kurt Bloom on tenor. I knew some of the guys, and I said, oh, gee whiz. And I didn't see a guitar player. So after rehearsal, I went to say hello to Kurt, who was sitting next to Barnett, and it was the first time I was this aggressive, and almost the last time I was this aggressive. But I asked Barnett if I could join his band. I outright asked him. And he says, what? And this was at a period, and I knew the history of what had happened. When Buzz Etry died, he didn't fill that chair anymore. The guitar chair was blank in that band, and it was a touchy subject because it became like a voodoo type of thing, going to the West Coast. Every time Charlie went to the West Coast, something bad happened. The fire, and then this on the Buzz Etry coming back, they had the automobile accident, and Cliff Lehman was driving, and they got busted, and So it was always a tragedy attached to the West Coast. So Barnett was shying away, and he sort of kept that chair open, maybe out of love for the way Buzz played or for other reasons. Anyhow, I convinced Charlie. I told him, I said, Charlie, I didn't say Charlie, I said, your band is off balance. I said, you have 8 brass, 6 saxophones, including yourself. That's 14 front line. You only have 3 rhythm pushing it. And that caught him. And so I got the gig.
All right.
Yeah.
And when you joined the band...
Well, we broke the band. This is a new edition of another edition. Barnett used to break his band up almost every year.
Mm-hmm.
Put himself in a hospital for a rest, checkup, because, he was a heavy hitter, to say the least. And so he'd go cleanse his soul and his body and come out and do it all over again, only twice as hard. So what was happening, this was March. Again, March was a very favorite month in my career in the early days. We went to Philadelphia and opened up in some grubby ballroom for 3 weeks, broke the band in neatly, and little by little, the personnel was changing. Now, when we were in Philadelphia, Bill Miller was on piano. who now is the accompanist for Sinatra. And then Ralph Burns came in, so that solidified the rhythm section between Chubby Jackson, Ralph Burns, Lou Fromm, and myself. The rhythm section got set. Trummy Young was already in the trombones. Peanuts Holland was there already. And then, little by little, we got to New York. We played the Capitol Theater for 3 weeks. Victor Borge's first New York engagement. And that was fun. So within 3 weeks, he had me on Broadway. You know, Barnet was fabulous. And then Chubby kept telling me, he says, McGee is going to join the band. What did you hear this guy play? Because McGee had already been in one of the earlier editions. So I was looking forward to Howard coming on the band, and he and I got to be very close friends. And then Oscar Pettiford came on the band, and now we had 5 of them. Well, Barnett started out with 3,
right.
Ended up with 5.
What was the purpose of 2 bass players for Charlie Barnet? Was it a similar utilization as the Ellington band of the 30s? Was that the idea?
Yeah. There was no plan at all, but I think maybe I bugged him when I said your band was all balanced, and maybe he couldn't. I know he was complaining to me a few times that he couldn't hear a blend in a rhythm section, but maybe he felt that he needed more emphasis there. I know Duke did for a while. He had those 2 basses in there, and they worked out all right. There's not much of a clash there. And besides, Chubby and Oscar had a little dance act along with a little battle. They used to have a battle of basses out front. They used to bring their basses down front, have a little battle. You play 4s, 8s. Then they put their basses down, and they would hop and skip around the stage a little bit. Had a little thing going. It's kind of cute, you know. And sold well. And then that almost filled the band out. And then one day, we were in the Apollo. I'm a new kid in the band, and Barnett and Kurt Bloom sent for me. And Kurt asked me, he said, do you know a good first trumpet player? I said, yeah. You know, I thought they were kidding me. I didn't know really what. And I said, yeah, I know a good first trumpet player. He said, who? I said, Al Kenyon. Where can we find him? I said, he plays lead with Basie. I thought that was the end of it. Next day, Killian was in the theater.
Who did he replace?
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Lyman Bunk. I'm not sure how the trumpet section was set up. It's a funny thing now. Barnett in his own book says that Andy Gibson told him that it was Al Kenyon, but I'll be darned, I know it was me.
Mm-hmm.
Because Killian and I became immediately, he found out who recommended him, you know. And we became very fast friends. But it was funny, there showed the grandeur of working for a millionaire. I knew I was in big time then. Because I was fast. So by then, Barnett had integrated his band pretty heavily. And then the band got nice and set. And it got to the point where he'd just call out a tune and just give a downbeat. The band was like a motor. And as the band got tighter and tighter, the opening number got faster and faster. Because it's unbelievable when a band gets so tight you can't hold it back. You know, and clean. I mean, it was really clean. So it was really a thrill every time to get on the stand. Every single time it was a thrill. You know, it's definitely more fun on a bandstand than off.
Yeah. Well, that's the way I guess it's supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely, but it hardly ever is.
Right. We're talking here live with Turk van Lake. Turk van Lake is well known for his having participated as a rhythm guitarist and arranger in the major swing-era orchestras, some of which we're discussing right as we go along, as we follow his career chronologically, and also are hearing some of the recordings and getting some pieces of information corrected or new pieces of information. Turk van Lake's early career, included stints with some fairly large-name big bands, Charlie Spivak, Teddy Powell, but obviously he's already more or less told us that this was a new dimension in terms of impact, quality of the band, and level of what he thought he had achieved in his own performance career. How it was assembled is also an interesting story. Now, listening to Turk van Lake, now, did you pass by Pettiford in Minneapolis? You were in Minneapolis and he joined the band there? Or is it,
I'm not quite sure. It was a question of him rejoining, and I'm not quite sure where we...
Oh, he had already been there, too, not
yes.
just Howard McGee.
Yeah, Howard and Oscar had already been there. It was just a question of picking them up as we went along, when their availability was present.
Now, in late 43, early 44, Pettiford would have been in New York playing with a short-lived combo that he co-led with Dizzy Gillespie at the Onyx Club. Did you see that band? Or were you aware of that?
Probably, but through bloodshot eyes, shall we say.
Well, let's go back to some of this information that I was trying to walk you through. That first date, October 21st of 1943, the one title that I didn't bring to the station would be the Virginia Maxey vocal on Sitting Home Waiting for You.
Oh, that's right. She's the one that sang it, yeah.
And
she got... can I tell you something about
her?
Sure. It's not a very pleasant story, but it will point out something about the audience at the Apollo and Charlie Barnet's handling of the audience. Virginia Maxey was a very, very cute little blonde girl who would have been good in musical comedy. In other words, she'd point her finger at you, what came to me, and then she'd point her finger at me. One of those cutesy-wootsy things. Well, she pulled that at the Apollo, and they pennied her to death. She had to get off stage. Barnet gave her the rest of the week off. However, after the initial shower of pennies came on the stage, Barnet went up to the microphone and said that people who threw those pennies would be better off buying war stamps. And he got a rousing hand for coming back like that. A very tough position for a white band leader to be in. But he handled it. He was something else. But it was Virginia Maxey, yeah, I remember her.
Now, the thing I was asking you to remember, because you do remember it clearly, is that the arrangement was by you of that song, yes?
Yes.
Would that be your first recorded arrangement?
Hey, well, I'm not sure. What about the Moose?
The Moose is your arrangement? No, it's
partly.
Ah. Well, then they're all your first arrangement. Well, in order of recording.
No, I don't remember which one was done first. That's the only
problem. But it's all the same date, though. Strolling,
okay.
The Moose, Powwow, and Sitting Home Waiting for You.
Strolling is Howard McGee. I'm not sure who Powwow did. Maybe Neil Hefti, possibly? Whose name is on that? Barnet, huh?
I'm trying to figure out who could have gotten the arrangement credit here for... Billy May, maybe?
No, because Powwow is an extension of Cherokee.
Yes.
That's all it is. He used to call it Redskin Rumba, but then he changed the name of that, too, and then he played... It's a funny thing, that lick he played, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, Teddy Hill's theme song, Uptown Rhapsody.
Yeah.
And I remember Barnett asked me to write a lead sheet.
That sounds like a lick from the King Porter Stomp arrangement that Teddy Hill's band played.
That I don't know.
Because Uptown Rhapsody, I don't remember that being an up-tempo.
I don't remember what tempo was that. But I know it's his theme song.
The lick you sing, I know for sure, I'm not saying it's not part of Uptown Rhapsody, is the lead-in to King Porter Stomp as Teddy Hill's band played it, which actually Dizzy is on that record. It's his first record.
Oh, so that's it's around 42, 41.
Oh, much earlier.
Early?
May 17, 37.
Was Dizzy in New York at 37?
Yeah, that's the year he came in.
Oh, I see.
Well, so that part of the... So, now which one did you say had that powwow?
Yes.
So how would now you were a connoisseur of Teddy Hill material? Who's the connoisseur who got that in there? Did you didn't have anything to do with that arrangement?
No, not at all. No, it's just that for copyright purposes, Barnett needed a lead sheet on it because he was recording it, and I told him, I said, this sounds very much like Teddy Hill's theme. He knew it too, He said, yeah, that's as far as I can go with it. I don't even know if he put what I gave him into as copyright material, but that's all I heard. Because there's no really, where's the melody?
Yeah.
And the other thing is the moose is the thing that I'm really concerned about more than anything, on account of the high praise it received from Gunther Schuller. Gee, when I read his critique on it, I was flabbergasted. And made me very, very jealous and envious and the whole bit. I read the whole gamut, and I still haven't done anything about it, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the time to start.
Right.
So you're saying the Moose is a co-arrangement of yours and Ralph Burns?
Yes, it is. I have the documentation. Fortunately, I kept the original score.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few I have. And I'm not quite sure why I kept it. Maybe because I had Ralph's hand on it. I'm not sure. Anyhow, what happened is Barnett asked Ralph to write a concerto for a piece featuring himself. Write something featuring yourself. And so Ralph sat down and started to write something. We were on the road at this time. And finally one day, and I don't know how soon after he was given the assignment, he asked me if I was finished. He said, Turk, would you finish this arrangement for me? And I said, well, we better get the old man's okay. Because he didn't know if I wrote and how I wrote. At that point, this was quite early in the game, I guess.
Well, it's from your first record date with the band.
Right, yeah. So we went to Barnett, the two of us, and Ralph asked Charlie, he said, all right, Turk, finish it? He said, yeah, all right. So I took it home and finished it. And that was it. And it didn't go well on the date, by the way. The word was that they were not going to release it. And I was bugged. I was really bugged about it. Dodo had such skill. Our rhythm section wasn't up to Dodo at all. And so I walked away very dejected and didn't think it was going to be released. They did release it. And then, I don't know how many years later, 20 years later, all of a sudden, Gunther Schuller claims it as a great... I wish I could quote it. I don't even have a copy of the book. But anyhow...
this is his second volume of a proposed trilogy. Yeah, Swing, 35 to 45, right?
Right, yeah. And he had no way of knowing this, what I've told you. He had no way of knowing that, so it's not his fault, certainly. It's my fault for not letting all this time go by.
Well, you don't have any arranger credits for this first date because the other one you said was entirely yours, Sitting Home Waiting for You, the vocal, and that's got a Ralph Burns arrangement credit, too.
Well, Ralph was a fair-haired boy.
Mm-hmm. Now, you spoke so much of the rhythm section. You hadn't mentioned Dodo Marmarosa before. Did you meet him at this time in this band, and what could you tell us about him?
Well, Dodo and Buddy DeFranco joined the band at the same time.
First, let me tell people they're listening primarily to the voice of Turk van Lake, who is the rhythm guitarist in the Charlie Barnet band of 1943 and 44, a period in which his writing talents blossomed for the first time in terms of audio documentation, and we're starting to learn more of his writing and performance career in the swing era, particularly the Charlie Barnet period of 43 and 44. I'm Phil Schaap. I've now asked Turk van Lake to speak on the topic of another member of that rhythm section, which would be Dodo Marmarosa, and he's free to speak about Buddy DeFranco, too, as he goes along. Turk van Lake.
Well, I don't remember the circumstances, but there were openings. Ralph left the band, so there was an opening on keyboard. And I guess one of the alto players in the band left, and so Buddy came in, featured on clarinet, of course. And they were both from Pittsburgh, and we got two sharpshooters there. That perked up the band even more. That's what I meant about the way Barnett built this band. He just every time I made a replacement, the weakness fell on another chair. It was insane. And they actually added another dimension because Buddy was already playing quite modern, and Dodo, as you can hear, is right in the forefront.
Now, why do you think Dodo Marmarosa is already able to play bebop jazz piano in 1943? It's not supposed to be possible.
Well, first of all, his ears, and he was classically trained. As a matter of fact, we went to Dodo's house once when we were in Pittsburgh. He invited us over, and it doesn't happen too frequently, by the way. And he had a sister that could cut him, as far as technique goes. He says, "Well, you hear my sister." So I guess he absorbed it instantly. It was, a piece of cake when you had, because don't forget bebop. First of all, you had to have the technique. Even if you could hear it, you couldn't reproduce it. So he could hear it and reproduce it. He had both talents. And I suppose, I don't know the history of what he listened to before I met him, certainly. Right. But he had a funny personality. He was almost sometimes like crazy. He was off the wall, Dodo was, and sometimes all the way down, and sometimes he'd say he would tell anybody off. Anybody. He was very strong about that. And I remember he and Barnet had a little animosity going, but Barnet admired him, But I remember Dodo got appendicitis, and one day we were in the theater, and I said to Charlie, you going over to see Dodo? And he looked at me as though, are you kidding? I couldn't believe that. How could the leader not go see his piano player who has appendicitis in the hospital? It's only around the block, But that thing was there. I don't know. It wasn't hate or anything. It's just that he couldn't care less, because Dodo came on that way, really, with a lot of people.
Dodo, do you have any idea why the nickname Dodo?
No, but I remember when I used it in class last semester at the college, and the whole class guffawed when I said the word Dodo. Does it mean anything that I don't know? Well, his real name is Michael, by the way, for the books.
Dodo, of course, was a bird who was presumed to be exceedingly stupid, hence its extinction by being shot. Well, all of them being shot when guns came in, and so that is the etymology of dodo, and it's in reason for people to guffaw. And "you dodo" is part of the vernacular even to this day. So most people would not be charmed by being bequeathed the nickname Dodo.
But maybe that's why his nickname was the Moose.
That was his other nickname.
Yes.
Now I've got a question. Now Ralph Burns.
Yeah.
The composition, the Moose.
It's Ralph's.
Right. Okay. Now, Barnet wanted Ralph to play piano?
Yes.
Okay.
Ralph was in a band then.
Okay. So the title wouldn't have been...
No, the title originally
okay.
was Dick Tracy Liquidates 88 Keys.
Now, there's a good guffaw for you, more so.
Yeah, Barnet was reading Tracy in those days in the comics. And it was an excellent title, I thought, But when Ralph left... And Barnet
is that sort of like Kenton had? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you, because the death of Xavier Cougar, or they had these kind of strange, in 3 Ways of Smoking a Pipe. There was a Dorsey title, I think, or was it Herman? No, it was Dorsey. All right. Any case, these are amazing titles. I mean, titles don't make the music, but Dick Tracy Liquidates 88 Keys was the original title. Turk van Lake.
Right. Well, 88 Keys was the evil guy in the strip at that time.
I see.
Anyhow, when Michael Dodo Marmarosa came on the scene, and Barnet heard his nickname as the Moose, he immediately switched the title to the Moose, which made sense. And a funny thing, another sidelight to that is that Dodo and I look a little bit alike.
Yeah.
A little bit alike. And he got, of course, the featured spot, And so when we came out backstage, all the girls would flock around Dodo. But if I could beat him out stage, nobody knew the difference. Sometimes I'd go out, I'd beat him out there, and they'd say, "Oh, there's the Moose, there's the Moose." So I played the Moose for a while, occasionally.
So he had two nicknames, the Moose, and the second and more usable nickname was appropriated as a new title for this piano showcase. Maybe, do you think the fact that well, obviously it doesn't make sense because Barnett changed the title, but you said it was they didn't know whether they were going to issue it or not. Maybe there was some disappointment that Burns hadn't stuck around to make the record himself.
No, Burns was long gone. He was
Yeah.
with Woody by then, and Barnett and Woody had a thing about Barnett and Burns fell out over that record Marianne McCall made. I forget the title of it, but it made a little noise, and maybe the way Chubby and Ralph left Barnett
Mm-hmm.
to go with the Woody Herman band, the first herd, that is. Maybe there's, I don't know what went on behind the scenes. Maybe there's some bitterness there. I'm not sure. Definitely didn't have any info. I was actually surprised when they left the band. And there's no hint that anything was going on. So I really don't, I don't know. As far as Ralph goes, he didn't seem terribly attached to Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any great love there, and there wasn't any hate either.
Well, getting back to the discographical details, so your first record date with Charlie Barnet, we're here with Turk van Lake, who was our guest for the entire jazz profile today. You're hearing it live on WKCR-FM, New York, 89.9 on the dial. And it's a spectacular, if you're Turk van Lake, this is a spectacular afternoon. Maybe March continues to be your month. It's March 7th, 1993.
Never thought about it.
On my end of things, I am having a lot of troubles trying to just keep up with you, much less with all these other circumstances around here. One of them is the discographical issue. You feel that Trummy Young is on the date with Strollin and all those things,
Yes.
and in fact, solos on Strollin.
Mm-hmm.
You point out, for the first time, that the vocal title from that date, Sitting Home Waiting for You, is a Turk van Lake arrangement, and that with a co-arrangement with Ralph Burns of the piano showcase piece, The Mooch, are in fact your arrangement and or co-arrangement, and they would be your first documented.
Well, on the Moose, I do the shout chorus, the out chorus.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you hear the brass coming way up, because I had Killian on the lead, there's no problem there.
Right.
That's where I come in.
All right. Then from the Roy Eldridge record date, the one with The Great Lie and the Gulf Coast Blues, Drop Me Off in Harlem, other titles, Baby Won't You Please Come Home, My Heart Isn't in It, Flat Top Flips the Lid.
His lid, yeah. Flat Top was another comic strip, right?
Yes, so another person in Dick Tracy, that's for sure,
right.
yeah. And more famous, I think, than 88 Keys. Do you remember anything about this session in particular, besides the fact that Roy Eldridge was there, or perhaps remember that?
Well, I remember Roy and Barnett and Ralph Flanagan, I think, was still in the Navy uniform, and they had a couple of jugs on the side there, and that's all I remember. No, nothing exciting, except that playing with Roy was exciting. That added another goosebump on top of what was already there.
Well, the other thing you pointed out was that Pow Wow has a Teddy Hill orchestral lick in it that I can say was used in King Porter Stomp, but you also hear as their theme song.
Right.
So there's a lot of information there. Roy wasn't in the band, was he?
No.
Just for the record
Yes,
day.
artist, yes.
Sort of to replace the sound of McGee and Killian?
Probably, at least McGee. Probably, because McGee was our high note soloist, and Killian was screaming over the band more like a Cat Anderson type of thing. Although Killian, little by little, got some spots. Killian was the top paid man in the band. And
Well, he got there in one day. Now you know why.
But little by little, Killian was being featured, and well, he first of all, there's nothing wrong with a good high note trumpet player, and especially a 6-foot good-looking man.
Right.
He is very saleable.
I know that for one thing about Al Killian, those Jazz at the Philharmonic recordings where he's a soloist and Dizzy's a soloist, that the average listener always perceives the Killian solos to be the dizzy solos because there'll be notes that are higher.
Mm-hmm. No, Al didn't have the skill, certainly, of Dizzy. He was not a... He never was really able to cross into the modern line, I don't think. He just barely skirted around it.
It wasn't... Well, that's the point. That it wasn't that they didn't recognize the Gillespie style. They just heard higher notes, and that must be Dizzy. But it's Killian. Sweet Georgia Brown, that jazz at the Philharmonic. And there are other ones, too, with Maggie, like Lady Be Good.
Well,
and
Al could blow higher than Howard at the time.
Higher than just about everybody at the time, I guess.
Everyone, yeah. As a matter of fact, he and I were on the verge of writing a book. One of Al Killian's biggest gripes was the high note trumpet players not using correct fingering in that upper register. You know, to use freak fingering. Is that right, Mike? A lot of freak fingering going on up there? Yeah. Well, Killian was determined with the non-pressure system, because he once showed me in a hotel room, hung a string down, you know, a proverbial hold the string with the trumpet on it, and he goes up to it and hits pops a high C. Nothing happens. He wanted to write an instruction book on playing that upper register with the correct fingering in order for it to be in tune. His claim was, his discomfort was that while guys were playing up in that register, they were playing out of tune. They were making the notes, but they were out of tune. So he had a point there, but he never lived to see it.
Tragically killed, I guess, by one of the people in his apartment building.
It was a crazed custodian.
Yeah. Wow.
But there were other circumstances behind that. And it's, you know, Al Killian and I we had plans on, we were going to go to Rio. You know, we were going to form a big band and go to Rio. And he kept telling me about Rio and Rio and Rio. I couldn't wait. And then when he got the offer to go with Ellington, he called me up and he said, "Shall I take it?" I said, "Well, look," I said, you've been in the Barnet school, you've been to the Lionel Hampton school, go to the Ellington school, be complete, you'll be a band leader then. He went there, and that was ill-fated. That's where it happened.
Al Killian, who was killed in an unfortunate incident, I believe, in February of 1950. We're talking here with Turk van Lake, still perusing. Now, Skyliner was one of Charlie Barnet's biggest records, and remained, he performed it with as much frequency as Cherokee eventually, and would re-record it for countless other labels in the LP era. This was the original Skyliner, which you were on August 3rd of 44. I could give you the personnel of the band if that would help you, but why don't you tell the story of Skyliner?
Well, there's not much of a story, except there's one thing that keeps bothering me, and I'm pretty sure that Barnett wrote that.
Mm-hmm.
But did they give not Andy?
Billy May?
No.
Let me get a whole bunch of album credits here and see what they say.
There's someone that gets credit for that, but I remember, particularly in this period, Barnett had one of these little portable harmoniums or something like that. It was a portable keyboard. It was way before.
Dale Bennett is a name listed.
Oh, that's Barnett's
pseudonym.
That's his pseudo.
Yeah,
his pseudonym. So he did take credit for it.
Well, that's on one label. Yeah, I'll grab another one. Dale Bennett.
Yeah.
And these two records. Yeah. One is from the original, and the other is from...
It seems to me, I remember him working that out in his dressing room, parts of it. There's always...
Somebody did sue him about the Skyliner. You're ringing a bell in mine as. Somebody got really upset about it, and maybe that's what we're both walking around something that we don't know enough about really to pin down.
Right.
But, yeah,
I always had the feeling that Charlie did write that. I even thought he wrote the arrangement. Because... he was quite a guy, you know, and but I'm not sure about that part. But I do remember he didn't travel usually with a keyboard, but it was on the tail end of this trip, going into the we were coming into New York, going into the Strand Theater at that time. We had a 5-week stay there. with Destination Tokyo, where it was
Right.
Christmas going into New Year from 43 to 44. And that's when he had that keyboard in his, a little prior to that and during that time, it seemed to me. And he just tinker around with it. I used to see a little bit of manuscript paper around. It wasn't like he was writing a chart or anything, but he certainly was putting something down. And I think Skyliner was the result of it.
Well, there is some authentication of Charlie Barnet's. Well, the composition is very noble.
I know, but I mean
the arrangement. I think it's credited to Billy May.
Mm.
Now there are a couple of records you're listed for that you don't think you're on. Are you on Blue Moon, Cottontail, In There, or Thoughtless by Charlie Barnet Band?
I don't recall that.
I played Cottontail, so you actually heard it during that sequence.
Well, the trouble with that is that I heard the arrangement and I copied the arrangement when Ralph was writing it. I think we were out in the Midwest someplace. But I don't remember whether I was on that or not. I couldn't tell you. Because I played it so many times on stage, I don't know if I recorded that. But Blue Moon, I don't recall ever playing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the date on it?
February of 44.
I should be on it.
Yeah, it's around that time.
Yeah, I'll have to check. That's a little
And then the studio recordings for Bakeef and Desert Sand, sort of Juan Teasel and Stuff Smith compositions.
I'm not there at all.
That would be much later into 44.
Yes, I don't remember those arrangements whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to pick a record date that you're not on this. September 11th of 44. Now, you're on the Skyliner date. I'll call off the title. Skyliner, Sharecropping Blues, Come On, Come Out, Wherever You Are.
That I don't know.
K-Star vocal?
No K-Star. That's later.
Uh-huh. But it's the same date as Skyliner. At least I think it is.
Well, that's a funny
West
thing.
Coast, August 3rd, 44. Did you go out to California with them?
No, sir.
Maybe you're not?
I didn't. Skyliner was recorded before August.
You're sure?
Yes.
And the record I played, you're on that?
Yeah.
So you're saying that Skyliner was from an earlier record date?
Mm-hmm.
The issued version of Skyliner?
January, February.
Mm-hmm. And it's
but
just...
again, I would much prefer checking deeper into that.
We're going pretty... It's almost as deep as you can go on this, except for getting the other surviving members.
No, you see, I know I left the band after the record dates.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was scuffling with the drummer.
Right.
And
did you come back? Go away and come back?
Never.
So we're sort of left with Skyliner either being totally mislisted in... Maybe I should play it again.
That wouldn't help.
Okay.
No, what might have happened, they might have recorded it twice.
Okay.
They might have recorded it once here and once on the West Coast, and they might have switched credits.
Mm-hmm. But you're sure that's the one you're on?
Yes, I could feel like I was riding a band. Even to Barnett's notes that he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he did set some of his solos.
He certainly did.
He wasn't a total ad-libber. Once he got something he was pleased with, he'd stay with it, which was, I thought, a good idea anyhow. But Dodo's on the piano, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Dodo stays in the band.
Yeah, Dodo stayed with the band.
Barney Kessel is listed on guitar for the West Coast record date.
He joined after me. It's a funny thing, when we met for the first time, he said, "What'd you do with all the guitar parts?" When I joined the band, there were, I told you there wasn't a guitar in the band?
Yeah.
Well, there were no guitar parts.
Right.
So what I did is I gradually memorized the book. And as new charts came in, we had guitar parts. So when I left the band, it was about 14 parts.
Right.
And the book was over 350 tunes. So that was a little thing he and I had between us. Other than that, I don't think there was any vacant spot between Kessel and myself. I think he followed me immediately in the band. But when that band came back to New York, is where K-Star was in. K-Star was in that band, and by then I don't even know if Killian was in the band. Maybe Jimmy Nottingham had gotten in there by then.
Oh, I'm sure that Al Killian's out of the band by then. By the time they came back from the West Coast,
Right,
oh, he's long gone.
Yeah.
Well, I think I should play some music. Is there anything you'd like to hear?
Well, like what you talking
Well,
about?
of your records, I have just about everything here. I was thinking that we'd take a little listening pause and come back and perhaps take even a different kind of questioning line here.
Sure. What would I like to hear?
Well, I've got...
well, do you have Teddy Hill's Uptown Rhapsody?
You know, I bet you I don't. Actually, I do. I do have it, but it'll take me a little bit to get on it. So I'm going to play Skyliner first, and then
right.
I'll try to get to these Teddy Hill things.
Okay.